What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and now that the three major trade shows, CES, Mobile World Congress, CTIA, are out of the way, there are a bunch of new phones hitting the market. One, the T-Mobile G2x, awesome phone, announced at CES as the Optimus 2X, dual-core Tegra 2 processor, 8-megapixel camera, 4-inch display. It's an awesome phone. It's available on T-Mobile now for $199.99. Another one from CES that was announced, the HTC ThunderBolt on Verizon. Verizon's first 4G LTE smartphone, 1 GHz single-core processor, 8-megapixel camera, front-facing camera, 4.3-inch display, and more. Now, both of these are Android devices. Both of these are running Android 2.2. But which one's the best? You know, it's going to be one of many dogfights as we figure out all these post-trade show devices. Which one is the one to have? Here it is, T-Mobile G2x, HTC ThunderBolt. Which one's the best? We're going to find out in the full dogfight, which starts right now. You know, I have to be honest with you, really both of these devices are fantastic devices, and I don't think you can go wrong either way. But hey, this is a dogfight. I can't say that. These are both, you know, one of these has to win, and we'll have to pick a winner. But here they are, the LG Optimus 2X variant, the T-Mobile G2X, and the HTC ThunderBolt, both announced at CES. Like I said, the Optimus 2X is what the name was at CES, but then shown off at CTIA as the G2X, and then the HTC ThunderBolt. Like I said, both at CES, both awesome Android devices, and both, you know, devices, starting devices of a year of Android devices, if you will. So let's start with the G2X. 1 GHz NVIDIA Tegra 2 processor, 4-inch display, WVGA display, 8-megapixel camera on the back. You have your 3.5mm headphone jack, HDMI port, and then your power button up top. Volume rocker on the side, nothing on that side. And then, like I said, 8-megapixel camera on the back, front-facing camera, and more. Then you have the HTC ThunderBolt 1 GHz Snapdragon processor. It's a single-core Snapdragon, 8-megapixel camera on the back, as you can see. Kickstand back there with Verizon's 4G LTE logo, big speaker behind the kickstand, micro USB charging port, headphone jack, power button, and volume rocker on this one as well. So in terms of construction, this one is a little bit different. It's a little bit more of a bulky device. It's a 4.3-inch display, so the display is a little bit bigger, but you know, this is kind of that comparison if you remember back to the Evo and the Droid X days. Same comparison applies here. The Evo, much like the Evo, the Thunderbolt, very kind of bulky and feels kind of fat in the hand. It's a more of a shorter, stubbier device, so you can feel, you know, it takes up a large part of your hand. This is more of a tall, narrow device, so it takes up less space in your hand, but extends out a little bit further. So it kind of has a Droid X feel to it, even with this little hump back here with the camera. So if you're looking, you know, from a size perspective or from, you know, the way it feels in your hand, to give you some comparison, this one feels a lot like a Droid X. This feels almost identical to an Evo because size-wise, it's exactly the same. Now, both of these are running Android 2.2. This is running a stock build, which was one thing I actually didn't like about the Optimus 2X. The European version is running LG's custom user interface, and I didn't care for it. But this is running, T-Mobile's done a great job with the G2, you know, it was the Desire Z in the UK, and it was running HTC since. They brought all these over to the States on T-Mobile with stock builds of Android. So it's running stock Froyo, and there was a report this weekend on T-Mobile's Twitter page that it's getting gingerbread very soon. Now, it's anybody's guess as to what soon actually is, but it's coming at some point in the near future, per T-Mobile's Twitter stream. So Android 2.2, stock build of Android 2.2, and I mean, this thing flies. I've never seen an Android device this fast. I mean, look at how these applications open, browser, bam, phone, bam, you know, rolls through things with incredible ease, no lag whatsoever when opening applications, incredibly quick. Like, let's open up news and weather, for example, acquiring location. I mean, just runs exceptionally fast. You see how quickly the notification bar goes up and down. I mean, there's no lag in this device whatsoever, and it's really a testament to two things. One, the dual-core processor, and two, the fact that it's running a stock build of Android 2.2. But I mean, just exceptionally fast. It loads up into the market incredibly fast, no issues there. Pop back there, and then you see on the HTC ThunderBolt, like I said, single-core Snapdragon, but it's running HTC Sense user interface, which, as you know, is my favorite. If you watch any of my videos, it's my personal favorite user interface. And I think there are pros and cons to all of the user interfaces, and I even think there are pros and cons to a stock build of Android, but I think this one's the most aesthetically pleasing. And when I recommend an Android device, actually when I did recommend an Android device to my mother and to some of my family members, I recommended the ones with HTC Sense just because they're easier to use, in my opinion. I think it's a more fluid, more well-constructed user interface than some of the other ones on the market. But anyway, the fact that it does have a user interface slows it down. So you'll notice, a little bit of a slower performance, not by a ton, but you'll notice some lag here where you don't notice it with the G2x. So let's go through and see what applications come installed on both of these devices. So over here, you have T-Mobile's app pack. You do get quite a few T-Mobile pre-installed applications on this device, and like on both of these, T-Mobile and Verizon, you cannot uninstall those applications. You get a ton on this device. You get quite a few on this one as well, and you cannot install those, but you can sideload applications on both of these devices. So if that's something you're interested in, you can do it. T-Mobile app pack, T-Mobile Highlight, T-Mobile My Account, My Device, Need for Speed Shift, Nova, 2 Games, Polaris Office, Smart Share, T-Mobile Mall, T-Mobile TV, TegraZone Games. I'm just listing what's actually installed. TegraZone Games really is Tegra and not, or NVIDIA and not T-Mobile. But Telenav GPS Navigator, Video Chat, Visual Voicemail, T-Mobile's Wi-Fi Calling, and Zenio Reader. Now this thing has two cool T-Mobile features. One, it supports Wi-Fi calling, which if you're in an area where T-Mobile service isn't the greatest, or you have no service and you have a Wi-Fi connection, you can hop onto Wi-Fi and make calls. Now it takes away minutes away from your plan, just like a normal phone call does. So you're not gaining anything by doing a Wi-Fi call. But if you're in an area where there's no signal, it's nice to have that added feature that other carriers have kind of forgotten about and had no interest in implementing. And then when you go into wireless and networks, you'll see over here you have the ability to use it as a portable hotspot. So there are additional fees obviously with that, but you can utilize it as a portable hotspot and take advantage of that HSPA Plus connection. So those are the T-Mobile applications on that. Now on this, Verizon installed applications, or just installed applications in general, non-Google applications. Adobe Reader, BitBot, Blockbuster, City ID. Let's go down through here. Let's see, Kindle, Let's Golf 2, Mobile IM is a Verizon thing. Mobile Hotspot, this does support Mobile Hotspot, and actually through May 15th it's running for free. So if you buy the ThunderBolt today, you get free access to Mobile Hotspot, or free use of Mobile Hotspot until May 15th. After that, it's $20 for 2 gigabytes of mobile hotspot use. So something to keep in mind, you do get 2 dedicated gigabytes of mobile hotspot use, but it's an extra $20. So if you do buy it, take advantage of it, play around with it, and then make the decision as to whether you want to buy or not on May 15th, or on May 16th rather. Rhapsody, Rock Band, Slacker, Vcast Media, Vcast or VZ Navigator, Vcast Apps, TuneWiki, and that's about it on the Verizon front. Now, like I said, on both of these devices, none of that can be uninstalled. So it's kind of frustrating for those people that want to, uninstall, take advantage of some more of the space on the device, and you can't. But hey, it's one of those things. This comes with a 32 gigabyte micro SD card slot, or micro SD card. So you do have a ton of storage space between the 8 gigabytes that comes on the device plus the 32 gigabyte micro SD card. You have almost 40 gigabytes of available space. Over here, you do have some internal storage, but you don't have, out of the box, you don't have an SD card that comes with it. So that's something to keep in mind if that sways your decision. You can see if the micro SD card's there, but there's no micro SD card actually in the device. So let's see here, pull that back and bring it back over here. So let's talk a little bit about the differences between the operating systems. Both are running Android 2.2, but this one's running a stock build of Android. This one's running HTC Sense user interface, which there are some differences. You'll notice that over here you have 5 different home screens on stock Android, which you can access by pressing and holding those little dots in the bottom corner, and you can bring up all 5 and go directly from one to the other without having to scroll. So pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy to do that. But then again, you're pretty limited. No pinching, no cool features, no spinny things, nothing awesome like that. Whereas on HTC Sense, you do get some cool, aesthetically pleasing things that you can do to the operating system. Now you get 7 home screens over here. Notice the difference between the app drawers down here. This is HTC's app drawer and little dock, and then you have the dock down here. This is Android 2.2, the actual stock looking dock. Now thanks to HTC Sense 2.0, which is the 2.0 version obviously of Sense that comes pre-installed on this device, you do get the ability to change around the dock a little bit. On older versions, like what the Evo comes on, and some of those, you didn't get that ability, but you do here. So you'll notice that if you watched any of my videos on the Evo or the some of the older HTC devices, when you click, it brings up something very similar to this. But now when you click, it brings up a whole personalization screen where you can change the scene, the wallpaper, the skin, add widgets, and I'll go into the widgets in just a minute. I mean, HTC has some phenomenal widgets, but let's change the skin. I can click on that. I can scroll through, let's say metal skin, for example, and then you're going to see the color change up here in the notifications bar. go to kind of a silver from a black, and you notice that the dock down here changes as well. So HTC's always been really good about personalization of your device, and they don't disappoint here either. So you can see that's changed, and that's unique. And then across the board through all the widgets kind of change as well. To you can see that it's metal now, kind of has this cutout right where the weather is. Try to say that 3 times fast. But you can see that the widgets and things like that change. Now let's go back to the widgets, and you can see browse all HTC widgets. Now one thing I like about HTC is they have their own widgets, and then they keep the Android widgets. Like for example, we go through here, you have the stock calendar widget, you have the stock calendar stock Android calendar widget on this one as well. But then you have an HTC version, and when you click on the HTC, oops, sorry about that. When you click on the HTC version, let me go back here. You can see you get 3 different options on your widgets, and they're very pretty widgets. They're very aesthetically pleasing. The curves are nice. They look great. Just look far better than anything I've seen on MotoBlur, TouchWiz, anything like that. So you can see calendar. Here's another calendar, and then here's a third one that's a little bit smaller. So we can click on, let's say this one for example. I happen to like the agenda, and it's not going to let me put it there because I need to drag it to another screen that has some available space. Let's get over here. Nope, not over there either. Yeah, there we go. We have some space right there. So you can see the agenda pops up. Apparently I'm busy for most of the week because I'm just that important. But you can see that's what the agenda looks like. And then they're dynamic widgets, so you can scroll up and down through those widgets and access your appointments, things like that. And this operates as syncs up with your Gmail. So if you have a Gmail-based account, you use your Gmail calendar, you can it'll sync up and go through your agenda widget. So a lot of different features on this device. So you get widgets on this as well, obviously, but they're the stock Google widgets. They're really not that exciting. Like for example, I think I showed you calendar. There's calendar, not very exciting. Although BlackBerry World's coming up, so I have press registration. But you can see it's kind of a ho-hum widget. And somebody said that was my trademark phrase. So there you go, ho-hum widget, ho-hum. But you see much better, and actually there's the smaller calendar widget. Looks much better on the HTC ThunderBolt and on HTC Sense. Where I really have to give it to the G2x, and I just can't talk about this enough. One thing I've always found kind of frustrating about Android versus another operating system like iOS or even to a lesser extent WebOS, the consistency. I mean, you can scroll up and down at some points and it's perfectly fine, then it stutters, then it's fine again. I mean, just exceptionally fast, no lag whatsoever on this device. I mean, I've been so pleased. Like I said, part of that is the stock build of Android. The other part of that is the 1 GHz Tegra 2 processor. But I mean, just incredibly, I mean, you see how fast those are loading up. Everything just moves exceptionally fast, back and forth through there. So you can see it's a little bit slower over here, not by much, but you can see that single core versus dual core processor. Now both of these are 4G devices running on Verizon's 4G LTE, this running on T-Mobile's HSPA Plus network. So you can see, let's go to Phone Dog, see how quickly they load there. Now one frustration I've had, with Verizon's 4G LTE, it's exceptionally fast, so I have to give them credit there. They've really done a good job when it comes to speed, but the problem is it's very inconsistent. It cuts in and out like nobody's business, and it's not across the board. When I use this as a mobile hotspot, when I tether this, you can see that's already loaded. When I tether this, when I use all their stuff, their 4G data cards, I use anything that involves connecting to 4G, it seems to cut out on me every 20 to 25 minutes to where I can't work, I can't upload a video. So I don't know if that's something that's just kind of a problem with a newer network or what's going on, if that's just the growing pains of Verizon's 4G LTE, but it's extremely frustrating nonetheless. I mean, I have to knock them a little bit on 4G, and you'll see it on this device periodically, and it's a known issue as well, 4G will just disappear. The data speed, or the data will just disappear, and whatever you're doing, it'll stop until it comes back. So here it is on the G2x. Pinch to zoom seems to be pretty quick. It kind of lagged there for a second, but other than that, pinch to zoom, very responsive, very quick. Little to no lag whatsoever. Go over here, scroll up, scroll down through there. Very fast. And then here as well. But you can see a little bit more lag on that one. Now, I do like what HTC does with the windows, where it gives kind of the visual appeal here. We'll open up another window, just let's say Google, just for example. And then we'll go back here to Windows. You can see Google. Then you can see where I was at on Phone Dog. I like the visual appeal of that as opposed to what it looks like here, where when Phone Dog loads back up, I'll show you. You can see Windows, and then it's kind of just this typical stock Android menu. So something to keep in mind. Those are minor things, but in terms of the browser, the overall browser performance goes to the G2x. The browser aesthetic goes to the Thunderbolt. I think this is a common theme you're seeing here. When it comes to aesthetics, it goes to the Thunderbolt almost every single time. When it comes to practical performance, things like that, it goes to the G2x most of the time.